Hey everyone, this is Reaching 8, and just before we get started with the episode, I've got a couple of notes and updates. So the first thing that we're doing, we're giving away another one of those Halo Infinite Twitch drop codes, so that way you get the World's 2025 Twitch drops if you didn't manage to get them already. Right now the code will be on the screen, and you can see if you can activate that. It's going to be first come, first serve. We just want to give away something to our community because we've had a pretty successful year. Like the previous video that I did with Danchi, I'm envisioning that these interview episodes of the Zodiac Summoning Circle will just be like conversations between me and whoever I bring on, and we're not particularly going to grill each other. Like, I will ask for more information so that people get their perspectives out there, but these aren't supposed to be super definitive, objective breakdowns of what's going on. I'm just trying to get people to share their perspective on what's happening in the scene or on particular issues that I have an interest in. If you as a listener want more information, or you have more information, or you just have a difference of opinion than me or the guest, definitely feel free to say something in the comments below. With no further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so welcome to another episode of the Summoning Circle Podcast on Cult Zodiac. Never say I don't do anything for you. People were saying that the podcast was kind of dead, but I'm trying to keep it going. We've now had two episodes back to back. This one with another super interesting guest. Last time we had Danchi. This time I've brought on Renzo, pTw. We actually were just talking, what was it, like 2 months ago, a month ago, something like that? You had me on your interview series?
Yeah.
So pTw has been a big figure in Halo for much longer than me. He does a lot of Frag movie content. He actually runs the Frag movie art channel. Right now he's doing sort of a run of interviews with all of the Halo creators who are in the space, which is really cool. And I feel happy to have him on our channel on Zodiac, and we can sort of, cross-pollinate there. So I think there's more people who are interested in Halo content maybe than the channel subscriber counts necessarily indicate. I think that there's a lot of reach that this stuff gets. So can you tell me a little bit about your history with Halo, like what got you into Halo, and then what got you into making content, because I think that's what people are going to know you for best.
Yeah. So I got into Halo back in like 2006, I want to say. It
Okay.
was like my sophomore year of high school, I want something like that. And I got into Halo 2, so I'm a Halo 2 guy. And basically I got into it with a friend of mine. We used to go over another friend of mine's house and play the game, and he showed us this game like Halo, like Halo 2, like, let's play this game against each other, and we played split screen. And we started whooping this dude's ass, like to the point that he sold the game, and then we were
Okay.
like, dude, we want to keep playing this, and like, so we ended up buying our own game and our own consoles and stuff. I remember I think I was working as a bagger at Jewel at the time, or at a movie theater, as like what do they call those? I forget, but
Like
I was
working at like
working
a
at,
concession stand or selling tickets or something?
no, it was like yeah, it was like the ticket giver, or the guy that cleans up in the theater after people are done.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so I ended up making, money to buy my own console like that, and then I bought an Xbox, and I started playing Halo 2. And my initial goal was to be like, I wanted to be a pro, because when I found out about MLG and stuff like that, back then MLG was huge, it was popping off. And I know it's not what it used to be anymore, but back then it was a big deal. And it was something that I was interested in. And then I got into like doing montages from like, cause I don't know, like I just started doing montages, and I started having like a lot of views on my videos and stuff. And I'm like, dude, like I could just do this instead of like, playing the game. And then I got into making videos like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So obviously you got in with H2. Like, did you play other games before that? Like, why were you able to beat this guy's ass so bad? Did you play like Time Splitters or GoldenEye or anything?
I played GoldenEye before, but honestly, Halo 2 I think was my first person shooter. And I think that's why I love it so much, because it really was a perfect game. I mean, if anyone plays Halo 2, like, the glitches, like as soon as we're playing it, and we're playing it like legit, like no
Mhm.
glitches, right? Because it was just out. And you know, we're continuing to learn and get better, and then we learn about the glitches. We're like, holy shit, dude! There's like an actual, like, this game has depth. And I used to play Super Smash Brothers Melee back then too, so I was like, this is just like Melee, like it's like the first person shooter Melee version of a FPS basically.
Yeah, so you got into doing montages. during Halo 2, I assume, or like between like H2 and H3.
So I got into montages. Yeah, I got into montages back in, yeah, 2006, 2007. I
Hmm.
started editing community clips, and after that, like I put out like some little videos that I threw together. But then when Halo 3 came out, that's when I really got into it because I was able to get into the theater and I downloaded people's clips off their file share, and like I had my own like capture card and all that stuff where I would cap for people and stuff. So yeah.
Right on. Yeah. So, which creators back then like inspired you to start doing montaging? Because we talked about this when I came on your show about like Halo 2 montaging, where it was like really difficult to make stuff look good. So, was there someone particular who you looked up to from that era, who did like a video that really inspired you to start making your own?
I mean, I would have to name a few people.
Okay.
Back then, like, I remember guys like Hal's Red, Titan V2,
Hmm.
um, Zola, Furion. Um, those are all guys that are coming to me right now as I'm thinking
Right.
about it. That pop into my head. There's another guy like Zelot. He
Hmm.
was doing some really interesting stuff back then, or he had like two really neat videos that were pretty high end for their time at least. Um, yeah,
Okay. Yeah, yeah. No, there was a lot of creators back then. I wasn't expecting like, a perfect list of everybody, but like so that's roughly what the scene was. So if people are watch a lot of Frag movies, if they got in with, Halo 3 or Halo Reach or even a later Halo game, that's kind of the era that we're talking about when pTw started doing that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Um,
So yeah, I was active from 2000 like 2007 to 2010. It
okay.
was my time back in the day, and then I came back in 2021.
Right. Okay. So when you first started doing videos, Halo 2 and then into Halo 3, and Halo 3 is a significant movie making jump up from Halo 2. Um, were there any features that you wish that you had when you were doing especially like Halo 2 videos? Were you familiar with other games that had better features, or were you just kind of like working with what you had?
Yeah, so for Halo 2, I mean, for those listening like that don't play Halo 2, like Halo 2 doesn't have a functioning theater system like Halo 3. So, um basically like I wish Halo 2 had a functioning theater system, like a competent theater system like Halo 3, because I would have loved to continue making Halo 2 content, but I settled for Halo 3 because it had the tools. But as far as like wishing I had access to other tools back then, like yeah, we knew about Counter-Strike, we knew about COD, and we were seeing what they were doing, and we were like, well, there's no way like because we were making things on the cutting edge back then. Like
Mm-hmm.
that was the whole point, is to make things on the most cutting edge. So we didn't have access to like fraps. We didn't have access to like that was like a filmmaking kind of like screen capturing software. We didn't have like you know a keyframeable theater system like Counter Strike did. Like importing 3D scenes, all that stuff. Like I wish we had that back then, but we never got the ability to do that, and it was partly because we were on console, you know.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, looking across from Halo and seeing something like I don't know, like Annihilation 2 or something in CS, like you could feel pretty envious of like the movie making tools for sure. You mentioned COD there, and I think we talked around COD or like about COD during the interview that I did with you, but I don't really know much about COD movie making. Like I've seen some of the jump videos, I've seen some of like the big montages, but I really don't know that much about like movie making tools for COD. So I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but were there specific things in COD that you wish that you had in Halo? Because you seem
So
to know something about that.
so back then, like I just kind of put two and two together back then. I don't know what tools they had available to them, and I still don't know what tools they have available to them now because I don't play it. But I can only imagine that they have the same tools as Counter-Strike because I mean, it's PC and they actually have a competent like, um like developers
Yeah, yeah.
making the game, and they make like these tools and stuff. So, um what's it called? Shoot, I forgot what the question was. Sorry.
Yeah, so yeah, tools for CODs. That'd be like COD 4, COD World at War,
Yeah.
Modern Warfare
So
2.
so back then the big time movie maker back then was this dude called Katha. He was like the Zola of the Call of Duty community. I don't
Hmm.
know if you've heard of him, but he made like these three amazing fucking videos. Like they're just super like crisp and prime. They're perfect videos, and it's almost like he storyboarded the entire series, you know. Um, and I remember watching that, and as he kept getting his videos kept getting better. So on the third one, it was just insane. I'm like, okay, like there's no way that they have the same tools as we do. Like I can't even compare my work to this guy's work because he's got access to better tools than I do. Like I'm working with like it's like you said in our podcast, like two sticks and a rock basically compared to what these guys have.
Right on, yeah. So in COD, like I think that they've got a working demo system, or at least like spectator for angles. But games on PC, I think this is something that Furion talked about a long time ago. Games that are on PC, or at least are on like modern consoles that are a little bit more similar to PCs, a little bit more powerful, you can run them at higher frames per second. You can run them at like run them smoother pretty much. So when you're recording at like 120 FPS. So when you slow that footage down, um, it doesn't look as framey, right? Like if your whole montage is going to be 30 FPS, let's say, and you've recorded all your footage in 60 or 120 FPS, you can do a slowdown of 2 times or 4 times or something without the spectator seeing like every individual frame, right? Like you can
Right.
more easily like speed up and slow down the footage, and it makes the montage look smoother. I think that's a big thing that COD 4 movie makers have been doing for a long time, especially the pro mod guys on PC. I think that's like a big bonus. I know Furion talked about how he was like envious of that for Halo 2, because on MCC now we can run Halo 2 at 60 FPS or more, and he was saying that would have been great, back in the day. That's just sort of one example that comes to mind when you were talking
Yeah.
about that.
We had 30 FPS was what we had to work with back then,
Yep.
and yeah, obviously, like we were super jealous of like people running 60, 90, 120 FPS footage. Like, we had a pixel motion everything. So like pixel motion is like this frame blending technique and cap- capability in After Effects that you can check on, and it'll make certain frames in depending on the footage that you use. Like if you use really jumpy footage, it can't really interpret the footage. The AI doesn't interpret the footage that well, and you'll get a lot of distortion and ghosting. That's why you see like Halo montages, they slow mo at a certain part where like it makes sense to slow mo it, but there's also like very little frame movement there.
Yep.
So like they super slow mo stuff down to like probably like I don't know what it is, like 200 FPS or something, but
Yeah.
like you can't do like in between. It's either really slow or like regular pace, right? With
Mhm.
Halo montages, which I know, like you mentioned, people have been exploring that, the higher FPS now that we're on PC.
Yeah, yeah, that's just one tool that I can come up with. Off the top of my head, that I would have really liked to have from, especially like the COD pro mods or like PC community, back in Halo. Things like you said though started to come more to parity with Halo 3 and Halo Reach, which I think we're kind of getting more similar to like CS or Quake or something in terms of function, even if they didn't have keyframeable cameras and a lot of other features. But around which time did you think that things weren't maybe progressing for you in Halo, or like Halo wasn't really going in the direction that you wanted, either in terms of the game or in terms of content? You said that you were active like 06, 07 ish until like 2010. Is there a reason that you kind of like fell off the wagon there?
So I left because I thought I had to get like, I had to become a grown up back then and like get super serious about life and
Okay.
try to figure something out or whatever. And like I just, I didn't think I'd have time for video games. And I was also partying my fucking ass off too and like doing all this wild shit.
Right on.
So, like, um, I just, yeah, I just, yeah, I don't know, man. Like,
So you mostly fell out of playing Halo, doing Halo content just because of life getting in the way, or was the game just not interesting to you? That would have been Halo Reach at the time, right? Or like the end of Halo 3 and then Halo Reach?
So yeah, I mean, yeah, it was around Halo Reach time. I made
Okay.
like one or two Halo Reach videos. Um, yeah, I fell off. First, one of the reasons was, and people might, I don't know if people remember this, if people from that time remember this, like the community just kind of shit on me after that status quo montage. I know it's gotten some more love in recent years as it's aged, but back then, like the community kind of like shit on my entire team back then working on that video. They really didn't like it. At least the hardcore like Halo 3 forum guys, like THF guys, like they completely like tore us apart on that video, and that left kind of like a it kind of made me feel like really bad, and it also like made me a little bit resentful because I'm like, dude, like I worked my ass off on that video. I had to get it out at a certain time, and like it was just it was I felt like it was unfair, and that kind of also was a contributing factor. But I always loved this community, and like I've always stayed in touch with like
Hmm.
people within the community. I helped What Time with a couple of his videos, like as a consultant and stuff. And I've taught, I'm friends with Fuster and stuff. And like, I tried to get back into it back in 2015, and I just couldn't finish projects. I don't know what it was. I had some sort of editor's block or whatever the hell it was. Like, um, I just couldn't finish projects back then. I would start a montage and get halfway through it or whatever, and then just be like, I can't do this anymore. I couldn't find it within me to actually finish a project. So, um, in 2021, when I came back, like, you know, doing Grit for Arana, which is a Halo 2 montage. If you haven't watched that, that's a neat video. Um, and that Arana kind of pushed me to kind of grind my way through that project, and I was able to finish something, and that kind of gave me some motivation and momentum really to keep going and make content.
Right. So you said that you tried to come back in 2015. Would that have been trying to do like MCC, so like classic Halo stuff, or were you trying to do stuff for Halo 5 because it was coming out around that time?
No, I was doing Halo 2 back then. So I did a
Okay.
project for Prodi back then called Ignite, but I never
Hmm.
finished it until like 2021 when I later went back and like kind of added like a last scene and stuff and kind of wrapped the project up. But
Right.
yeah, I was doing Halo 2 back then cuz I always love Halo 2. Like that's my game, dude. Like
Yeah. So were you like exposed to that sort of real like dip period for Halo because things were starting to kind of go down with Reach, right? Halo 4, MCC came out and it was really messed up. Were you starting to have issues with like the audio being messed up in Halo 2 or anything when you were trying to work with that?
I'll be honest with you. I didn't even know what the scene was back then because I went on the forums in 2015 and I was like, I'm looking for a project and all this stuff, and like, Prati jumped on it and then I started working for him, but I never really got ingrained into the culture, back into the culture because I just never got back ingrained into the culture back then. I didn't get um like infused into the whole scene like how I am now.
Right. Yeah, yeah, because like the scene is different, like it almost when the 360 was getting phased out and the new consoles were coming in and then MCC was what it was, like the faces and stuff have changed a lot. I think that you've been more into like the montage scene, longer than I've really even been tracking it like that, so I was
Yeah.
just wondering if coming back and like the game being kind of in the state that it was, I don't want to labor the point, but MCC was really fucked up back then, like really really bad before they changed to the Unreal Engine. It was still being run in like Saber or something, the old UI, all that. And then all the faces and stuff being different, that must have been kind of like a whiplash. So you came back again though in 2021. Is there like a particular reason, like you kind of just got that spark and got back on, or is there a particular reason that you came back?
Oh man, I just felt like it was a good time to come back, and and Halo Infinite was just happened to come out right around that time. So I was like, "Oh, well, this is a good time to come back. Maybe I can make some content for Halo Infinite." Wrong, because Halo was terrible. Like
Yeah.
Halo Infinite was awful at launch, and like that kind of, it I'm I'm almost hesitant to say that I'm surprised that I'm still doing Halo content because, like, the Halo Infinite was the opportunity for a lot of us to make, amazing content again, and for it to be dropped and handled the way it was is just it was just insane, you know? Like,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, so the situation that we find ourselves in, and you can explain to me like your framing of this, but HCS, it's not canceled, but it's gonna have fewer events. Halo Infinite just got its last significant content update. I think that happened what, like 2 days ago or something. Um, so that will be, I guess, the game going forward. But the next big release from Halo Studios, formerly 343, is going to be a campaign only remake of Halo CE. So, can you just give me like a lay of the land of where you think your prospects are for making Halo videos?
You should see my face right now as you said the game is only campaign
Yeah,
only, dude. Like I'm like
yeah,
so I'm just like really that's the best you guys could come up with, like, like it's crazy, dude. It's crazy that this is actually a thing. Like, and they go
yeah.
and announce it at a HCS event where with all the multiplayer players are, all the competitive players are, and they're like, "Hey, by the way, guys, we're releasing a game that like you're gonna have no fucking interest in." Like,
Mm-hmm.
like it's downright disrespectful and completely devoid of any self-awareness from a multi-million-dollar company, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Me and the Goat Man were like pretty close to the front row when they announced that, and he just like he almost had like no reaction because he's like, it's just like a worse CE but just single player, and I was just kind of laughing, like, what did you expect, right? Because it's like a big announcement from 343 or Halo Studios now, yeah.
I mean,
But
at
that's how
this
it always is, though, right? Remember, like the Halo 4. Oh, actually, you wouldn't have been around at this time, but for Halo 4, right? They're like, oh, the battle rifle's coming back, all this kind of stuff, and it's basically just like a 5-shot DMR as well, you know? Like I'm just used to being disappointed, right?
Dude, yeah, at this point it's like, you know what, man? Like, fuck it. Just tell me like the game's gonna suck, like just
Yeah.
just just be straight up with it. Like, it's
Uh,
a cash grab, guys. It's a cash grab.
I mean, whatever. It's campaign. It actually might be good, right? But it's not going to be what you make Frag movies and things on. Um, how's this is kind of like a side tangent, but how has infinite montaging been? Like, have you tried doing any projects in that? How much do you love that super desynced theater system that actually I'm pretty sure the viewers are looking at right now because there'll probably be some infinite like theater recordings happening in the background. Um, are there things that you like about the final version of Infinite for montaging, and other things that you don't like?
So Halo Infinite Theater, well, actually, speaking of Halo Infinite montages, I have messed around with Halo Infinite. I think I made a montage for Lucid,
Yep,
called God Hands.
yep.
It's a cheesy name, but I thought that video was great, but it didn't have any angles because I'd have to go and recreate them and all that stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
I just couldn't really find the time to recreate all those angles. But it does have that one angle, which is like the gunshots, the bullets coming and hitting the guy in the visor and cracking his visor and coming out the back of his head, which is done by Slippin. Shout out to Slippin who fucking killed that scene. Um, but yeah, as far as the Halo Infinite theater system goes, at first when I first started using it, when it first came out, I was like, dude, this doesn't work. Like it had so many glitches, it had so many like errors and stuff. Like I couldn't figure it out. It's not straightforward. And then after like I want to say like what like a year later, I revisited it, and it's actually working good now. The only thing is you can't go up and down. The only I wish you could pan upwards and move the camera as you're panning upwards to do these like kind of rotate upwards rotational angles, um, which you can't do. You can go up and down, but you have to use the keyboard. I can't use my controller to do that, and that's kind of how you kind of get these interesting looking angles. But other things that I like about the Halo Infinite theater system, is you can kind of hold the right trigger a little bit, like just slightly, and it'll play things in slow mo. So then like you can get an even deeper slow mo in the theater system. by doing that. So it's kind of a neat way to kind of, I don't know if you would say like hack the theater system there a little bit
Right.
to get a smoother slow motion, like we were talking about before.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, there's been some improvements, but there's also been some shit that sucks in the Infinite Theater, right? Like bookmarks breaking, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
yeah, it's not like CS and Quake and stuff where you can really easily just like share demos. For people who maybe aren't familiar with like the phraseology, what you would call like theater replays in Halo are called demos in most other games. But you can't just like easily grab a demo and just drag it to someone else and have them look at the whole game pretty accurately. Nothing like that.
Yeah, the bookmarking system is broken. Like it doesn't
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
Like
Just doesn't do
that's
shit.
one of the
Yeah.
most important things in actual like being able to share the actual game file so that you can actually go and actually have a thriving frag movie scene because like if people can't send you their clips like that, then you're kind of stuck in like I don't it's weird, man. Like you're kind of stuck. You kind of have to like log it. Like one thing you could do is log into their game, into their account, and use their clips that way. That's what me and
Mhm.
Danchi were gonna do. I was just log into his account and access his clips that way and get record angles that way. But yeah, the demo system doesn't work. Like the bookmarking system doesn't work.
Yep.
Still, like 4 or 5 years later, like it's crazy.
Well, you got to give Halo Studios a little bit of credit, right? They're like a little indie studio. They fixed up their game, you know.
There's
Yeah.
are they an indie studio?
I
They're
mean, they act like it. They act like it.
This is wild, dude. It's
They're
wild that
bolted to this like multi-billion-dollar company, but yeah,
right. And I mean Halo is the staple of the Xbox and PC community, right? Like that's the
yeah,
one thing that is like the Super Mario Brothers or the Mario of you know Microsoft. So I just I just don't understand like how we don't have the same tools as Counter Strike. We don't have like Source Filmmaker, anything like it. We don't have access to like well, there are some tools like Eaker. I'll drop Eaker. Halo Archive also has a lot of really good resources, but it's nowhere near as in depth as what's it called as the Counter Strike community has, or even Call of Duty. If I can, I'm just assuming they have those same capabilities because their 3D looks just so primed. They have actual access to in-game models and in-game animation as it's happening. So
hmm yeah. So on our last podcast, like when we talked on your channel, you were talking about like going down with the ship, and I was like, yeah, go for it, buddy. Like let's all drown together, right? But we talked a little bit like offline with no mics rolling and stuff, and you were saying that like you're starting to look around again. Is there something specific that happened, or is it just like the weight of all the different things that have come down, or what's up? Why has your tune changed like a little bit on that?
I flip flop around, dude. I have bad anxiety, and like I start thinking about things, and like, it's like I said with Hyena, like I don't have a family or anything like that, and I'm just, a lot of times I'm just at home thinking about stuff, and this gets me down because it's something I'm passionate about. So I'm like, man, maybe I should go and explore other games and stuff. But I really love Halo, and I love the pacing of the frag movie scene and the space and all the friends I've made, and it's really hard to transition to a different game when you don't really believe in that game. You don't really have any attachment to that game, and you're only doing it because there's more views in it, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
Counter Strike 2 has a million active players. Obviously, if I go and I make frag movies for Counter Strike 2 and I actually learn the tools that have available, like importing scenes, full 3D games and demos into Unreal Engine 5, like you can do some crazy shit, right? And you probably get a lot of views. But at the same time, it's like I just don't find my heart's not in that. And I struggle with this. Like I struggle with it because it's like here's my passion, but nobody seems to really care right now, other than like a small niche community that we have. It's just hard to wrestle with that idea.
I mean, just for a little point there, I mean, frag movies all over the place are kind of in a weird period, right? Because it felt like montaging frag movies, stuff like that, was huge for a while. It's like a little bit smaller now, but obviously it is still very large in other communities, right? It is much more respected in other communities than it is in Halo. Um, would you want to try to like exit Halo entirely and just like go to doing work in other games, or do you want to like mix up your content, kind of like what Bo was doing, where he would do Halo still, but he had a couple like classic FPS videos, or what's your idea there?
I'd love to get to like interview people from the Counter-Strike, from the COD scene, from the Valorant scene, from these like frag movie spaces that have all these views and stuff. Because
Okay.
first, I think it'd be good exposure for my brand, but also it'd be something neat to explore because it's like every scene has their own montage space, and it's like everybody has their own philosophy and way of like editing and way of putting together a video and ideas and how to do this little nuances in the game and stuff like that. So it's really something neat that I want to explore. But as far as editing another game goes, I'm not sure I can. I'm not sure. I don't think my heart's not in that. So I don't know if I can. I tried editing Valorant. Like I did a video for like Demon One or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
it it got like 300 views or something like that. And I'm like, well, I'm like I don't know. I don't even know if it's worth it. Like like yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, the big frag movie scenes that, I mean, the big frag movie scene, right, is CS still, right?
Yeah.
Because like the demo system is better, the viewership is a little bit higher. I mean, it's not necessarily like millions of people, but you can get like several thousand views on a good video, and they bring frag movie and observer type people like to events to get this stuff done, right? Veer or Vier, I don't know how to pronounce his name, was actually like working for Flashpoint at one time, which was like a tournament operator. Like he's like a frag movie guy, and a lot of those guys become like observers to watch the esports games and stuff as well. So there's a lot more overlap there, and I feel like CS is kind of the big dog when it comes to montaging. Valorant maybe less so. It's like a little bit younger audience. I don't think that the tools are quite as good. But that's like a perfect segue though. Let's talk about like some, I don't know, like landing sites to jump to if Halo's going down, or maybe other scenes that you want to work with, or other games that you've that might look like greener pastures to us. One of my home games, I guess, before I came back to Halo, is actually CS, but that would have been like CS 1.6 and CS:GO. I don't really interact so much with CS2. Um, is there anything in CS2 that you think would be cool to like play around with, like in the modern montaging scene, or any kind of like creators or opportunities in CS2 right now that you feel like you just don't have in Halo?
Yeah, so we don't have like the ability to import full demos into Blender, which is a 3D software
Right.
with everything keyframe for us, you know. So that would open up the doors to a lot of stuff, if I were to explore that avenue. Um, so there, I mean, the difference between editing Counter-Strike and editing Halo is that time to kill, like Blake had mentioned in the other podcast. That
Mhm.
time to kill is uh is really high. So you can stretch a clip out a lot longer in Halo as opposed to Counter Strike, which is one shot kill. It seems like, or like maybe like yeah, it's like one. It's basically like SWAT, you know. Um,
Yeah, it's like
but
four to the body, but one to the head with a lot of the guns, right? So,
right. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know too much about Counter Strike like that. I've played it like once or twice or whatever, but I've messed around
mhm.
with the tools that they have because I wanted to see what you could do. Um, what's it called? Yeah, it's kind of like one shot kill, so it's like a little bit. It's in my opinion, it's easier to kind of make an edit to that because like you can just go from, you can sync things up real easily like that, and
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I guess that does kind of make the game more like videogenic in a way, you know?
yeah,
Because
it does.
if you're trying to like land like kills on beats or whatever, it's just a single AK headshot is gonna drop somebody, right? Or like a single op shot or whatever, right? So so I can see why that actually would make the game like friendlier to editors. I didn't ever really think of that before.
Yeah, it's really neat. It's really neat in that sense. I actually explored like doing a SWAT montage back in the day, and it was really fun. Like you can get a lot of cool kills in Halo SWAT. Like you just do one shot kill, and like like you can sync things up a lot easier. Whereas like but there it has its pros and cons, right? So like if you edit a montage that's like got traditional clips with the time to kill is high, other than obviously sniper clips, but sometimes you only get like a shot to the body, and you have to get a shot to the another shot to the body to get the set, to get the actual kill. Um, so it's it has its little nuances to editing, right? Like, with the BR, for example, like you can do that rhythmic syncing where like you can sync the BR shots to the beat of the music, or you can sync the BR shots in a way that kind of adds an additional layer to the music to make it sound like it's infused with the music and stuff, which is stuff that we can do in Halo, which I haven't seen too much of that in Counter-Strike and in COD. Particularly, especially COD. I haven't seen much that great a sound work out of COD, other than the soundtrack mixing, which is incredible. They do an incredible job at that.
Yeah, so you talked about COD a little bit. COD is kind of, I guess, like the sister project to Halo at this point, right? There was HCS, that's like the Halo continuation of MLG, that's like the Halo competitive scene. And there's also the CDL, the Call of Duty League. They're both fairly similar, but COD seems to have done a little bit better in that. And COD also still has a lot of movie makers. Like I've seen like that new Phase Scope video that came out a couple months ago and stuff. Like they're still doing that kind of stuff. Would you want to work with any COD creators, just for an interview, or maybe explore that kind of scene? Like how does COD seem from the outside, like from an editor perspective?
So COD to me, first of all, I loved COD 4. COD 4 is, in my opinion, the best Call of Duty game. And I love Call of Duty. And then the other Call of Duties after that, like, the following like one or two games after that were also really good. But I love COD 4. Um, and Yeah, as far as exploring like other creators goes in that space who I'd like to work with, I mean, dude, I mean, I and like in an ideal world, I'd love to work with Kaiser, but I think
Mhm.
like I'd get super outshined. That guy's fucking incredible, dude. And then at the same time, like I would love to interview that guy to kind of pick his brain on where he comes up with these ideas and the tools in Call of Duty and the space and stuff like that, and how the culture in Call of Duty is different than Halo would be really cool to interview like a Kaiser type of dude. And then there's other like Call of Duty editors. Not coming to mind right now, but I think it was Rocket Goose just showed me a video called "Kiss the Sky," which was super neat. Like really neat video, and really blew my mind as to where the scene is in their space. They're doing so many artistic things. It's really neat.
Yeah, because it seems to me that like a bunch of the newer COD versions people really shit on because they seem to be, I mean, even worse than Halo Infinite. But like as a competitive game and as like a montage game, COD seems to outpace Halo at this point, right? So I just feel like if you're kind of wanting to get away from Halo, maybe COD could be a good, second home, let's say. It is for a lot of the competitive players, right? Like a bunch of that Optic team is going to be trying to move over to COD. So it just from an outside perspective, maybe where I don't think about the stuff super deep, or I don't have all the information that maybe you do or people in the scene do, COD looks pretty attractive, right? Especially for a Frag movie editor like yourself.
Yeah, yeah, I never really gave COD much of a thought, as far as going into and working with Call of Duty clips. I never really thought too much into that. But I guess, yeah, it's kind of like an in-between of, because the time to kill is a little bit, it's still really, really fast in Call of Duty, but it's not as fast as in Counter-Strike, I think. I think it's a little bit slower. Um, Although, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, yeah, it's definitely something that maybe I could explore in the future. I never really given it much thought.
Right. Uh, so I guess some other landing zones that you could potentially find yourself on. Have you looked at any of like the arena or like Quake style games or like Splitgate or any of those other kind of options?
No, no. I
Okay.
have not. I love making. It's kind of weird because I don't particularly enjoy playing games as much as I used to when I was younger, but I love making videos of people's plays, and I love watching people play the game. So like when I get to watch when somebody sends me their clips, I'm like, holy shit, like this is so cool. Like they're doing all this amazing stuff. Like yeah, sometimes I wish I was that good and I could make get clips like that myself, which I think if I played, I could probably get pretty good at the game to where I could get decent clips. I don't think anything like hyena level, but definitely some decent clips I think I could get. But yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah, so not super interested in those sort of games because those games are like, you know, kind of dead to the extent that Halo is, right? But they have crazy montages. I don't know if you looked into Entic after we talked about him last time, but he just put out a video around the time that we did our last interview. I'll send you some of his stuff. I think you'd be very impressed.
Is that Quake?
Yeah, yeah, it's for CPMA, which is like a version of Quake 3. Yeah.
Dude, yes, ship it, man. I'd love to see that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, have you seen any people who've tried to do like Splitgate content before? I think that
No,
game's kind of gone down now.
I've
Yeah.
never seen that. No.
Okay, yeah, because I feel like that game, it almost advertised itself as like a Halo alternative, but it was not. It didn't really catch on, maybe, but it had like a theater system and stuff too. But I don't really know if anyone really picked up in that scene so much. Um, have you ever considered doing like other kinds of videos in the gaming space though? You do these interviews, they're really good. Shout out to Xander for doing the most recent interview at the time that we're recording this, by the way. That's a great interview. He's a great editor. Did a great video with Danchi recently as well. Um, but if you're trying to do other types of contents, this would be like event photography or like, event vlogs or anything. You ever thought about that?
So what I'm actually thinking about getting into and what I am working on right now is a series to teach people how to do Halo montage movie making, at least the foundation, to build that
Okay.
foundation in the next generation. So they have something to look up on YouTube if they ever want to, hey, how to edit Halo, right? Like, so I'm working on how to like a series called how to edit Halo frag movies, and so that's one thing that I'm working on. As far as like I do want to go to events, but I don't want to like become like a photographer for events or like a video editor for a channel or like I have other things that I'm actively pursuing, but also like I have my own dreams like like as far as like legitimizing this art form for what it is and having people take it more serious as an actual real medium of expression, where because like edits nowadays are just so crisp, like that, like, dude, like it's weird because like the scene is dead, but the videos are so good, right? Like everything coming out nowadays is so good, and it's like, man, like I wish the scene was bigger because like people deserve to see the content that a lot of these guys are creating. Like you mentioned Xander, like have you seen A Thousand Great Times by Xander? It's fucking
Mhm.
incredible, dude. Danchi's video by Xander, also incredible. There's so many.
It's so well scored too, right?
Yeah,
Like the
dude.
the music works so well. Yeah. Yeah, that tutorial series sounds really cool. Like that would be a very cool shoulder to what you're doing with like frag movies, your interviews, and then that tutorial. I'll definitely check that out. I think that you've got a lot of interesting thoughts on the art form, and that you're doing a lot for it. So that's definitely an awesome avenue for you to explore.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that, man. Sometimes I wonder, like, I wonder, like, what the heck the point of doing all this is, but it's like, I don't know, man. It's something to do, and it's something I'm passionate about and I care about and I really love. So,
Hmm. Well, a lot of great artists are only recognized after they're dead. Don't think about it too hard. I'm just fucking with you, man. Um, but yeah, so we've already talked about no multiplayer for campaign evolved. That sucks. Obviously, you're like in the frag movie space, so that's not great. We're kind of in the multiplayer space. So that's not awesome for us either. Um, as a frag movie editor, though, if there was another Halo multiplayer, what are some features that you would love to see in that?
oh,
Just from like
bro,
the frag movie editing
dude, give me a competent
standpoint.
theater system. Like, give me a
Okay.
competent theater system, and actually like have keyframeable like camera in the theater. Like, make it so that you can set like start and end points for the camera in the theater. Other stuff is like, 3D integration. So like, give us access to the models, give us access to the to being able to import demos directly into 3D software and being able to manipulate the assets in the scene, mess with the lighting and stuff like all that stuff. Like, dude, that would open so many doors, and I think it would. Like, I think I can name like so many people that I think would be interested in messing with that kind of stuff who aren't into 3D right now, but would get into it because they're so passionate about the art form that they want to make the best kind of content out there. So it's not even about like, learning the software at that point. Is about, oh, I got to learn this software so that I can make better videos for the community that I care so much about.
Yeah, man. No, it would be so cool if imagine like a midship clip that you can do like sky replacement or like model replacement or something, like some of those CS frag movies. Bro, like now we're talking, right?
Yeah,
Um,
dude.
anything to do with like the so you're talking about how in CS the gameplay actually lends itself to being like easily edited. Is there anything like that for Halo? Like, was there like a previous Halo that you thought was like easier to edit? Anything in the gameplay that could renew your interest as a frag movie editor?
The only thing that is easy to like, it's easy to edit, like if you're asking like what's easy to edit, like to like sniper clips, like one shot kill clips, like anything that's dead on where there's not a lot of like janky movement, like it's clean, That's why I love creators like Z Trukio, right? Like he gets clips. Like I worked on that montage for you guys for Cult Zodiac Murder, right? Like I worked
Mm-hmm.
on that montage. He had like this clip on Lockout where he gets perfect headshot overkill, and it's just like it's so easy to edit to like that. Like it's like, dude, like I can sync this up perfectly. Like it's clean as fuck. Um, so yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. Like, yeah.
Do you think that like quick kill combos like BXRs or even like double shot quad shots stuff like that, like does that do you find that that actually helps in frag movies because it's almost like a bunch of damage really quickly, so it's easier to edit?
Yeah, that help. Well, the BXR is usually one shot, one go kill.
Yeah, yeah.
So the one clean BXR is pretty nice. Um, as far as like quad shotting goes, I think for me, like you have to have like to edit Halo 2, I feel like you have to have a good understanding of the game. Like you have to know that a quad shot is hard to hit, like
Mm-hmm.
hard to hit if especially if they're aiming, then that means they're clawing. If they're clawing, then that means they're probably pretty damn good at the game. And you have to highlight those things. So I think it takes a lot of skill to edit Halo 2, I feel like. And do I think it's easier to edit like quad shots and BXRs because of the time to kill? I would say it depends on the song that I and the like the song and the time of the song and where the clip is placed. So I wouldn't say it's harder or easier. Yeah.
uh yeah, I don't know, that's just something that I never really thought about so much from an editing perspective. Obviously when you're watching like a frag movie, like it registers in your brain that like, okay, yeah, this goes well with the song or whatever, but I didn't really think about that so concisely as when you brought that up for CS. So that was just for my own interest. Um, do you have any other words for like editors, the game developers, or people in the community generally who are in this kind of weird middle ground with Halo, like the same as you, like wondering kind of where we go during this like end of infinite state, waiting for the next Halo game?
So the one thing I want to say is I hope that their announcement that CE is that the new CE remake is has no multiplayer is a joke. Like I hope there was just like a big troll job and that they're just trying to get like people like riled up or whatever, and they're just fucking with people. But I know
Okay.
they're not. Like I I know they're not. So like I just, yeah, as far as like things to say to people in the community, like, you know, um, shoot, man, don't give up, man. Keep trucking along. If this is something you like to do, like just, do it for the passion and the love of the art form that you care so much about. Don't do it because of the views. Like we don't get a lot of views, like I'd love for there to be a lot of views. I come from an era where it was view abundance, and we're talking about the
Yep.
golden era of Halo and MLG. And
thousands of views, tens of thousands of views on
tens
big
of thousands,
videos,
hundreds
sometimes
of
more.
thousands,
Yeah.
hundreds
Yeah.
of thousands of views. Like it's crazy, dude. Like to be in this spot, like it's almost like I almost like don't want to believe that it's true that we're in this pickle that we're in. But like the developers, things that I would say to the developers is, dude, get us the tools that we need so that we can make good content for you. Because we, like Kaiser just worked with the Black Ops like developer team. Like, dude, how cool would it be if one of us got so good at editing that we got to work with like Halo Studios and make their next promotional video? That would be fucking awesome. But we're not going to be able to do that unless these studios give us those tools that we need, or at least a competent theater system that works right off the bat, man. I mean, you got to get your act together, man. Come on.
343, let's hire Zatrukio and Hyena. Get pTw in there too. You know what I mean? Like the Frag movie section.
That'd be fucking
Then we'd be
incredible.
talking.
Yeah,
man. So I think we're gonna start wrapping up here. Do you have anyone that you'd like to, highlight a video from or give a shout out to?
Shout outs, man. There's too many people. There's so many. I've made so many good friends and met so many really awesome people in the community that I bother all the time.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
but I don't want to shout out anybody and forget somebody and then be like, "Oh, I should have shouted this guy out." I think everybody that kind of fucks with me, like they know who they are, and they know like that I have nothing but love for them, absolute love for them. Like, all the editors in the space, like that produce this sick ass content that we all, take so much pride in producing. Like shout outs to them and shout outs to the players who who keep getting amazing footage for us to edit and who don't give up playing this game and stuff like that. So yeah, man, that's all I really want to say as far as that goes.
Sure, man. Well, thanks so much for coming on. It's been great talking to you again, even though it hasn't been too long. And I really hope that we work together again. Everyone, this has been pTw. Definitely go check out his personal channel and check out Frag Movie Art as well. And good luck in whatever you end up working on in the future, man.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.